One thing that intrigued me too in this piece was they were calling on the carpet some of these non-professional quote unquote windshield installers. And the question was asked of them, shouldn't you be doing something to your hands? Do the oils from your hands somehow affect the glass?
They do. Actually, the oils from your hand don't affect the glass. It actually affects the ability of the glue to stick to the glass.
Oh, really?
And then also to stick to the car. And that's why you want to see your installers wearing gloves. My guys have gloves on all the time. We use nitrile gloves for that specific purpose. And seeing someone who doesn't do that should raise your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned at the outset that windshields are replaced for a variety of reasons. Some people may not get their windshield replaced when it needs replacing. For instance, there's a little nick or a crack that you suffer from a flying rock or sort of thing. Some people may live with that for quite a long time. Is that an accident waiting to happen?
Well, a small rock chip can very easily become a large crack, and rock chips, usually under a quarter. Once they're bigger than that, I think a replacement should be mandated, though there are folks that can repair larger cracks. Mm-hmm. We can actually put a resin in that brings integrity back to the glass. You can't unbreak glass, but you can certainly seal it up to make it safer than with the crack in it. I personally am not a huge fan of repairs, but that's because I believe that replacing is not that costly in the long run.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought up that repair, because there's a guy who sets up shop on the side of the road near where I live, and I watch it regularly. And I wonder about, what they're doing and how safe it is. What he's doing, essentially, is people are driving up that have nicks and cracks in their windshield from flying rocks or whatever, and he, on the spot, repairs it or seals it, I guess.
Sure. There's several folks out there that do that and do a very good job at it. And when done properly, a windshield repair is adequate and does meet the standards and protects the integrity of the glass. Like I said,
but if your rule of thumb is, again, if it's bigger than a quarter, you ought to perhaps look at replacement.
That's our rule of thumb. If someone came to me with something larger than that, I wouldn't want to get involved, just because the repair never goes away completely. It doesn't, like I said, you can't unbreak glass. The goal is to just more cost effectively get by, and once they're that big, just the resin has trouble getting into all of the cracks that are in there, because mm-hmm. you see some, but there are actually a lot more little tiny cracks inside that glass.
These problems that we're pointing out from improperly installed windshields can lead to, and have led to, serious injury and death. I mean, this is your life we're talking about here, folks. I know you're wanting to save a few dollars, but it can mean the difference between life and death, literally.
Absolutely. People don't understand. Like I said, people would shudder to think that a piece of glass can save their life in an accident, but it absolutely can.
Mm-hmm. When looking, now we alluded to this earlier on, if you need to replace your windshield, you should always look for licensed and certified installers, right? And that will probably be prominently displayed in listings for such businesses, right?
Yes, sir. Should be. Again, if I may correct you, licensed is not necessarily as relevant as the certification.
Really?
Because the licensing is not really even in existence, but certifications do exist, and looking for that doesn't guarantee quality, but it certainly increases your possibility of getting someone who's qualified to do the work on your car.
What does it take to become certified?
Well, there are, like I was saying earlier, with this standard that we've made a commitment to, it's called AGRSS, or AGRS. It's the Automotive Glass Replacement Safety Standards Council. They actually require that we regularly have continuing education for our installers. We have online classes and we have in-shop classes. And we also have to do certain things. One thing that people don't think about, and this is part of, in today's society, we want it now, we want to get in our car and go.
Sure.
And the urethane that's used to secure the windshield to the car, the glue, actually plays a significant part in keeping the windshield in. It plays an entire part, actually. But what one of the things to look for and ask your guys is, once it's put in, is when can I safely drive the car away? The glue takes some time to cure.
Yeah.
And, you know, some guys use urethane that takes up to a day to cure before it's safe to drive your car. And, you know, we're using a urethane that's an OEM quality that has a 1-hour safe drive-away time. And part of that certification is maintaining a log of every job we do of, did we notify the customer when they could safely drive the car. We retain lot numbers of the urethane that we use on each job and keep it logged. And that is one of the things that on an audit they would come up and look for. Have we kept these records? They also would ask us, did we, you know, if cars have a certain level of rust, sometimes when we've done replacement windshields, we'll see significant amounts of rust under that urethane. But you've got to properly prime that, or water can get down in there, and water makes metal rust, and that just, again, diminishes the integrity of the safe installation.
I mentioned at the outset Brian's business is Kittrell Glass here in Birmingham. You have a website. I know you're on Facebook, and you also have a blog now where you can actually answer questions from consumers, right?
We do. I think it's, in this day and age, it's the best way to interact with not just customers but friends, and staying in touch with folks and letting them know what we're doing, and reminding them of what's important. And if they have questions, absolutely submit it to us. We'd love to answer your questions and have a conversation with you.
Give us your web address.
It's www.kittrellglass.com.
Can they find a link to your blog there?
They can.
And it's easy to find you on Facebook, too. Just search for Kittrell Glass.
Absolutely.
While I've got you here, Brian, one quick question, and I don't want to throw this at you unexpectedly, but it's sort of a pet peeve of mine. There was a time, I don't know if it's as prominent now as it was several years ago, when everybody was getting their windows tinted. And these tint jobs don't seem to have a lot of shelf life. In other words, so many years go by and the tinting starts peeling off.
Well, and we see that kind of. We do not do tinting. We have folks that want their windshields tinted, and that's something that, you know, can give them a list of people to go to, but it's not something that we do directly.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of information to provide about tinting specifically.
But I guess if you're going to have your window tinted, it would behoove you to ask, you know, these questions about what's the life expectancy of this tinting, that sort of thing. Is there a right way or wrong way to do it?
That seems fair to me.
Yeah. Your web address, again, is kittrellglass.com.
Yes, sir.
There is a link to Brian's blog there. You can ask him questions directly. You can also find Kittrell Glass on Facebook. If you need to have your windshield replaced, make sure that you're using a reputable installer, preferably one who's certified and undergoes continuing training, because it can mean the difference between life and death.
And I encourage people to call to ask questions, and if they want to learn more, I'm happy to talk about it with any of our customers.
What's your phone number there?
488-4995.
Brian, this has been very educational. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Brian Kittrell with Kittrell Glass, our guest on this segment of the show today. Folks, that does it for the program for this weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Don Daly, and we will see you next weekend.